Hey everybody, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be working on some suspension bits. So I have a set of Swiss springs for my Powertrix coilovers, and then I also have a set of bump steer spacers from Z31 parts. So I already have Swiss springs on my coilovers actually, however these ones are going to be one notch lower, so this is going to be a 7K and a 5K spring. The ones that I have on currently are a 8K and 6K spring. So just looking for them to get a little bit softer on the streets. The ones I have on now are pretty good, but the streets in Toronto are crap. So just hoping that these ones will soften the ride a bit. And bump steer spacers, for those of you that don't know, they're just meant to help correct the suspension geometry after you lower the car. So if we go over here to the front, so I already have the wheel off. And if we take a look in here, so you can see we have the coilover and we have the knuckle, and this is meant to just go in between the two of them, and it pushes the lower control arm down a bit, just back into its original position, and that's going to help with preventing bump steer, which is when you go over bumps and the suspension travel kind of causes the wheel to turn a bit, and that's just not good. So yeah, like I said, I already got the wheel off. To change out the springs on the front, it's a little bit of a bigger job. We're going to have to take off the entire brake assembly, the whole hub and rotor assemblies coming off. Very similar to my coilover video. So yeah, we're just going to be taking all of this off. We're going to take the entire coilover assembly out. We'll spin off all of these collars in the bottom, and then we'll swap out the springs. And as we're putting everything back together, we'll get those bump steer spacers in. Alright, so just got finished installing everything. We have our 7K Swiss spring up here, and then we have our bump steer spacer here, sandwiched between the spindle and the steering knuckle. Everything's tightened down, and as you can see, the coilover has stayed the same length, and it's pushed the control arm down about an inch, or whatever the thickness of the bump steer spacer is, and that made it a little harder to get this installed. I actually had to take off the two nuts holding the tension bar to the control arm, and that allowed me to push everything down a little bit more. I actually went ahead and took off the other coilover as well, and that made it easier to push everything down. So yeah, now with this installed, I'm just going to get everything installed back on here with the brakes and whatnot, and I'll catch up with you guys when that's all done. Okay, so got everything back together, got the brakes and everything done. So now I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side, but I'm not going to show you guys that because it's the exact same thing as this side. But now I'm going to do the rears, and we should be finished very shortly. So just finished up with the rears. I didn't film anything because it's pretty straightforward. Basically all I did was undid this bottom bolt here holding the coilover. Then this bottom section can just thread off. And then same with these 3 green collars, those just thread off as well. And once those are all done, the spring just slips down. And here's the old one, so I already got the new one on. And then installation is the exact same, kind of just thread everything back on. You want to count the number of rotations when removing the bottom section here, that way when you put it back on, it's more or less the same ride height. And that was about it. Alright, so we did the rears, and we're just finishing up with the driver's side front. And if we come back over to the passenger side, this is the one that we started with. So I'm gonna put the car down and kind of adjust the height there until it's where I want it. And once that's done, in another video, you guys are gonna see we're gonna be doing tie rods. And once that's done, then I can get an alignment and we should be good. So that's how you put Swift springs and bump steer spacers on a Z31. Hopefully this video helped you guys out. And as always, I will see you in the next one.